Well, hello, hello, hello. You are joining the No Brainers Empowering Possibilities show. This is dialogues of encouragement with fresh perspectives, invitations to ahas, a little bit of science, a dash of behavioral psychology, and a whole lot of creative fun. So if leveling up is on your radar, my friend, you are at the right show. I'm your host, Roseanne Marsh. I'm the author of the teen and adult empowerment curriculum called Level Up, and you are listening to episode number 12. What's your numbing mechanism you use to avoid things? Some truth and some tips. Come on, we all have a way that when we need to shut out life's pressures, we turn to an activity, a product, a diversion, or we crawl in bed and we shut out the world. There are lots of reasons that we would choose to have or need a numbing mechanism. And sometimes even something that we love becomes our medicine of choice or our diversion to turn to. There are times that what we enjoy does consume so much time that it's unconsciously numbing us from much of life. Sometimes a painful occurrence can launch us into a coping habit that has now become all-consuming. Numbing can be to forget or mask something, but it could also be an addiction that we have picked up. Well, we don't even realize that now is taking exorbitant amounts of time. Numbing mechanisms are not bad in and of themselves, unless they're destroying our lives, keeping us from achieving our goals and dreams. But they can also be preventing us from getting to and dealing with the root cause of our pain or wounds that we have. So in this episode, we're going to address the real reason we should be looking at our numbing mechanisms and 4 tips that can lead us to bring more balance to how we spend our time. There is a healthy balance in being able to make a shift in our focus, or just to take a break in life, or do something that brings us joy to our heart and raises our vibration and our mood and our outlook. These can be categorized as helpful diversions or a quick vacation for the soul, and they should be planned in our week. Coping mechanisms for anxiety and depression are the ability to do something or think something that puts us in another frame of mind and are not only helpful, but they're needful. So please note that validity is being given to these skills and tools. It's hard to put all these things into one basket, addictions and diversions, etc. But indulge me and take from this show what you feel can be helpful. So listen with some openness and curiosity and explore to see if some of these things can be brought into your life. What we're talking about are numbing mechanisms that we create or let creep into our life to cushion, mask, or hide the hardness of life. And they start consuming our time and resources at the expense of living, learning, and finding meaning at a higher value. When we experience tough, painful, lonely, difficult things in life, our survival mode kicks in and the subconscious desires to keep us safe, help us to avoid pain. And if it could, it would wrap us in a security blanket and sing us a lullaby. Healing and resiliency comes as we face our fears, the pain, the discomfort, and change the energy, the beliefs, and reactions to things that cause us this discomfort. But I don't want to only put numbing mechanisms just in a category of painkiller to the tough things. A numbing mechanism can also be something that we just got involved with that now takes over more and more of our time to the point that it numbs out other aspects of our life. Or another way to describe it, you're ignoring or now unaware of the greater good in our life. So what's your numbing specialty? Or in other words, what is your addiction, your distraction, your diversion, your preoccupation? Or yes, my teen's favorite explanation, squirrel. Yes, the squirrel. Have any of you been diverted or detracted or had an urge to do something other than what you intended to do or should be doing? Is that just me? Are you ever pursuing something of worth and then all of a sudden there's that symbolic squirrel that's thrown in there to derail you? Are you addicted to something that takes a lot of your time? Do you hide from parts of your life by self-sabotaging? A numbing mechanism could look like an addiction, the definition of which is it's a long-term inability to moderate or cease, and it causes problems in our life because of its presence. An addiction is anything that you cannot walk away from because of its hooking you. We ask a bunch of the teens in our teen summits, Describe for us what you feel an addiction is. Here's some that they mentioned. It could be being on the cell phone or electronics for hours a day. Could be excessive workouts. Could be a dependency on alcohol, nicotine, drugs, or pornography. Could be constant studying or working with no balance. Could be gambling. Could be sleeping long, long hours or shopping or any hobby that's excessive. It could be sugar and food. You could losing yourself in movies and videos. It could be hours browsing on the internet or anything that interferes with living life in balance. Not all numbing mechanisms are created equal, but they all have something in common. They take up a valuable commodity, and it's called time. And in many cases, resources, but isn't time a resource? If you haven't listened to episode number 9 called What Happened to My Day? Tells of time snatchers and how to snatch it back, I invite you to add that to your list because that really does dovetail beautifully into what we're talking about today. So why would we allow ourselves to get diverted away from the things that need to get done or could be of greater good or near and dear to us, kind of like our relationships? There's 2 things I want to bring up, but I want to go with the least obvious first. So I want you to get this visual in case you're just listening to this right now. I want you to imagine a white circle. And let's label the middle of that comfort zone. This is where we're comfortable. It's what we've experienced in life, and nothing is foreign there. It may even have some uncomfortable things there, but because they're our life experience and they're familiar, they're there in the comfort zone. And that's where we like to stay. But surrounding this white circle is a thick black concentric circle. And within that is the unknown, the unfamiliar, discomfort, fear, unpredictability, emotions, pain, untraditional things. And as we move around in our comfort zone, as soon as we get close to the black ring, to the edge, and butt up against it, we have the normal tendency to just kind of back off because it's more comfortable to stay in the white circle. That could look like we're afraid of the unfamiliar, not sure how to move into it, or we're avoiding walking into it or starting something or continuing something. And we hesitate to move into that black concentric ring because it's not familiar, it's not comfortable. It's the antithesis of comfort. It's not comfortable, but it's not totally our fault because it's kind of a normal reaction. Our brain is set up to keep us out of that black ring. And coming to our rescue when we start to move towards that is enter the subconscious. It's a keeper of all of our experience, and it has an important job to do. And one of them is to keep us safe. But here's the kicker. It only knows what's been programmed into it. So your experiences and your perceptions of those experiences are in there. So when we butt up against a painful memory or something that will require a lot from us, it swoops in and says, wait, are you kidding? Remember when you tried that exercise program and you pulled all your leg muscles? Hey, you better sit this one out in an easy chair. In fact, why don't you flip on those Hallmark movies and let's just relax? Why should you even try? Now you insert your own story here. What does that look like when you butt up against that black circle? Maybe your subconscious is saying, that emotion is too hard. We can't deal with that right now. So let's divert. Let's distract. So let's turn to something that helps us ignore what's waiting for us in the black ring. What we don't realize, though, is if we were to zoom out, we see that there's more concentric circles just on the other side of the black ring. In fact, if we were able to see from a bird's eye view, we could see that the next concentric ring out is learning. When we face our fears, when we experience the untraditional, when we tackle the unfamiliar, the untraditional, when we go into the unknown, when we venture into the possibility of the unpredictable and have the courage to face tough and hard emotions, pass through the black into the next ring with a possibility of having learned something. Now, is it possible to go into that tough, into the black ring, the unknown, to face emotions, to face fears, and learn nothing? Yup. But why would we choose that? Why would we choose that? And today there's not enough time to address that fully, but if you haven't listened to episode number 8, The Parable of the Pantry Moth, it can really provide some perspective to why we have tough experiences. But we can experience and not learn, and we can say, look what I'm having to go through, and look what I'm experiencing right now. And we can choose not to even face it and not even and go back into that comfort ring, turn around and go back into the white circle and ignore it and divert and distract ourselves from what's in front of us. Now, know that I recognize that coping mechanisms are for therapeutic reasons, and I'm not disavowing their need. So please make sure that you're applying it to the proper perspective here. But there is something amazing that can happen when we push through that black ring and you tell yourself and you tell your subconscious that we're going to do this and we're going to push through. And because now I know there is learning on the other side of this ring. And with that attitude, you can't step out of it and have not learned some things. And a lot has to do with your mental preparation to step into the black ring. But remember, the subconscious is going to throw up a lot of caution tape and say, hey, listen, we are comfortable staying here. Now, I said there's a second reason that we stay in the comfort zone. Doing something that takes effort is not as fun as doing something pleasurable. I know that's a no-brainer, but our numbing mechanism is more pleasurable than what we're experiencing. And it's helping us cope, and it's helping us numb from, and it's helping us forget something uncomfortable or painful. It's pleasurable not only because of that, but because of a dopamine hit it gives our body. And the body remembers, hey, remember when we did that? Oh my gosh, that was super pleasurable. I love the feeling I got when I was doing that. Giving into our numbing mechanisms is a path of least resistance. It avoids the discomfort, it avoids the pain, it avoids the emotion, and is providing a dopamine hit. So it's a process of choice. What are we going to choose? Dopamine, feel good, avoid the pain, stay in the known, or the big payoff of temporarily going through something hard and learning. But now let's return to those concentric circles, because I'm not done there. There's comfort in the middle. The next concentric ring is when we go through the unpredictable, the emotions of the tough stuff, the pain, the discomfort. And if I stay with my diversion, addiction, and numbing mechanism, then I get hits of feel good, dopamine. But I got to remember that the next ring beyond the first tough barrier is learning. But there's more. There is more. Beyond the learning is the next concentric ring of growth. You see, if we don't push past the boundaries, then we could miss out on a really huge reason we are here on earth. And it's a developmental must for our progression. No, we don't have to progress in life. We don't have to grow. But then how far do we go? Progression is success. Pushing through that first ring is the payoff. And when you have someone that can guide you through that, can tell you, okay, once you step in here, this is what you're going to experience. Don't be afraid of that. And yeah, that emotion is going to come up, and let's guide you through it. Having a guide is amazing. And there are those that can help guide you through those black rings. And it's human, it's normal to stop at the ring and say, oh man, where's my numbing mechanism? Come on now, we all have something. Is it electronics, Snapchat, Instagram, friends, games, Netflix, binges, food, substance, sugar? Total transparency, I just purchased 3 cartons of chocolate-covered marshmallow Easter eggs to gift to friends that I know love them just as much as I do. And I'd love to say that my friends were so excited to get them. But unfortunately, I had one of those, okay, not one more salad day. And I said, just 1 chocolate egg, just 1. That's all I need. Okay, now you can surmise the rest of the story. But look, I know that some of our numbing mechanisms are innocuous. They aren't illegal, immoral, or unethical. But some of them are. Some of them have taken root and don't want to let go. And it seems impossible to walk through that black ring because it's as if we're tied to that comfort zone. I wish my numbing mechanism was just chocolate eggs once a year. But the point is, all of us have something in this modern world that has a hold on us, that can take us from our precious time from things of greater value, can have a cost to them from many angles. But just refer back to the concentric rings and see the learning and the growth that can't happen because of where we've confined ourselves. Now, this is not about shaming ourselves. Instead, this is about allowing us to get a little bit curious about what are we doing with our time and what are we avoiding. Listen, these last 2 years, because of the global challenges we've been under, there are a lot of our numbing mechanisms that were taken away from us. And did we shift and address why we had those? Or did we adopt something new? I want you to try a little meditation with me for a moment. You can have your eyes open or you can have them closed. And if you'd like to write things down, I invite you to journal as we go through this quick little mini meditation. So I want you to get into your head what you think is your squirrel, your diversion, your addiction, your coping mechanism. Okay. Close your eyes for a second if you can. Get a visual picture of you participating in your diversion of choice. I want you to see you engage as if you are an outside person watching you engage in this. As you see yourself participating, I now want you to kind of hover up above it just a little bit so you're getting a bird's eye view. And there's a couple of things I want you to observe. So if you have the picture of you, what is your body position? Are you sitting? Are you laying down? Are you static? Are you moving? Are you standing? Are you active? What do you observe? What emotional state are you in when you are using your numbing mechanism? So how would you label the emotions or the emotion that you're feeling? And maybe there's several, or maybe it moves from one extreme to the other. See what those emotions are. Try to feel, what do they feel like? Next, are there others participating also? What's their emotional state? Now, when you've completed your engagement with your diversion, what's your emotional state then? When you're done, when you've finished, what do you experience? Now, here's your last question. In the last week, how many hours did you participate in this activity of choice? And is there anything else that you observed? Okay, sometimes it gives us a better idea of what is the value of this when we see what it does for us. There are always things that it can affect. So which of these does your mechanism affect, and is the trade worth it? Does it affect your health, your sleep, your productivity, your schooling, your job, your relationships, your friends, your finances, your self-worth, your time, and your future? If I were to ask you, do you have like a huge goal that you want to achieve, or something on your bucket list that you're just like, oh man, I really want this? And if I were to say those hours that you said that you spent last week on this numbing mechanism, if you had those back, how much closer would you be to that goal or that bucket list? Now you might say, wait, can we never relax and unwind? I say, yes, in fact, we need times of unwind from the stress and the strain, but balance is what we need. And here's the skinny. I was entrenched in the retail world for over 25 years. Our goal was to get you to buy and engage in what we were selling. There is an agenda to most corporations. Whatever the product or service is, no one is going to call you and tell you that you're overdoing their product. The Oreo package is not going to snap shut and tell you that you've had enough. The social media creators are not going to send you a text message to say, hey, you've been on that app way too much. In fact, they created it from gambling psychology. So no one is going to jump out of the closet and say, walk away from the Facebook, put down the Twinkie. They want you to consume. They want us to use and, well, get addicted to their product. So time and emotion is a resource. And so how are we spending it? So now if you thought, man, I can see maybe I need to pare back on some things, but what can I do? Or how do I get over some of these things? Or how do I replace it? Well, I have 4 ideas. And so here they are. The first one I call the law of replacement. So knowing your brain, what happens if we say, no, I can't have that. I can't do that. Well, our brain rebels and it starts to fixate on that thing that we can't have. But as we continue to think about it, we want it even more, right? So what if instead of focusing on what we can't have, you just add in the good? So example, let's say you want to eat healthier. Instead of focusing on, I can't have that, add in more vegetables or healthy options. And as we add in more healthy, it's going to squeeze out those other things. There won't be as much space for that. And maybe the example is screen time. Maybe screen time scrolling. Reels are an easy thing to get sucked into, right? But maybe we say, okay, I'm going to add in a book that interests me. So I'm going to use a different medium and not stay on the same medium. And that way I'm not going down as many squirrel holes. Does that make sense? So the law of replacement, add in. What will you add in? The second one is set a timer and move. Get your head away from what is pulling you to divert you, to distract you or indulge you. You can just even say, okay, I'm giving myself 10 minutes. I'm going to walk away. Set your timer for 10 minutes and then jump up and move. Get out of the room or go for a walk or go outside and run. Or better yet, even get music that motivates you, because that's going to raise your vibration. And when our head is more motivated and in a space that it can think, it can get above those things that are trying to divert us and put us in a more empowering spot. So physical actions prompt movement. So that's timer and move. The third thing is schedule it in. If it's not harmful, if it's not a harmful diversion or numbing mechanism, plan it in, schedule it, and then stick to the schedule. So it's not wasted time if it's scheduled. So if social media, you love movies, shopping, whatever, sporting events, whatever it is, schedule it in with balance. And then when you do take time for it, there's no guilt because of it. And the fourth would be, sometimes we just have to go cold turkey. Maybe you team up with a bunch of friends and you start a group like stopping sugar or stopping using a certain social media app. There is strength in number. Maybe you start exercising. You start a group that supports each other in whatever it is that you need to stop. But there's support in numbers, even if alone. Sometimes we just have to stop something, not purchase it or walk away or reward ourselves every day that we don't do it. In one of our teen groups, there was an inspiring young man. He talked about a decision that he made, and I want to read his words to you. He said, in 8th grade, I wanted an Xbox 360. My parents didn't want me to have one. Finally, I got one for Christmas and started playing against my friends. I didn't even have to be with them because I just played against them from my home. I had all the popular games and I was playing a lot. I stopped doing homework, and then I lied about doing homework when asked to have more time to play. My parents would take my Xbox away, and then I would do what I needed to do to get it back, and then just go back to playing and letting my schoolwork slide. I got tired of them taking away my Xbox. So one day I thought, well, why don't I just buy my own? And then they can't take it away from me. I bought the latest Xbox and all the games that came with it. I set it up in my room and had a headset to talk with others. I played for hours on end. Watching a review one day, a gamer told about how he had logged in over 500 hours on a game he was reviewing, only to find out that he didn't even like the game. He commented, "What I wouldn't give to have that 500 hours back." He was still playing other games and still wasting his life, but his comment struck me. I realized then that I was wasting my own life. I wish that I could get back all the hours that I had put into playing those games. Some say they want to be a pro gamer. They see the glamour of the few, but there are millions of players who are wasting their lives gaming day and night. It then hit me that the top popular games are all about shooting people. I realized with all the subjects that could be made into a game, why did it have to be killing people? I had become desensitized to shooting. The next day while gaming, I just decided that I needed to stop. I immediately listed my Xbox and sold it that day. My friends were texting, "Why aren't you getting on?" I didn't tell them until the next day that I'd sold my Xbox. They were so surprised and confused. The first couple of days, I realized how much free time I had, how much space I had, and everything was more productive than gaming. I started getting better grades and doing homework, and I just leveled up in my life. I'm grateful that I made that decision. Now that I'm a senior, I'm so glad that I made the decision when I was in 8th grade. I've not wasted more of my life with something useless. I hope that you guys can make a great decision and level up in your life. It was really hard for me at first, but I don't regret it at all. I'm rooting for you. Because of this decision, I've had so much more time to do so many more things. What things in our life do we just need to stop? What things in our life do we need to grab back the hours that we've spent? How many things in our life have literally kept us from moving through the black into the learning and the growth? Now, there are some numbing mechanisms that may not respond to the 4 tools that I just suggested, and they require a program. And there are great helps out there for substance abuse, for eating disorders, for drugs, for alcohol, for pornography, and many more. So honor yourself with the best help that you can get and be courageous about it. Now, the first 4 tips didn't address the most important aspect. What are we numbing from? And there's ways to address that and heal from emotions. I, in my curriculum, teach numb plus pain attracts the same. And pain plus deal, you can level up and heal. In other words, when we numb the pain and ignore it, we're going to bring back in the same things to us. But when we can deal with what that pain is, we can start healing and bringing new things into our life. We actually have a chapter in the curriculum that is level up for teens and adults that helps you get to the root of some of those things in your subconscious. And just like a weed, we can pull at the top, but unless we pull out the root, we're going to have the same problems come around and around. The emotions that are triggered are the clue to where we need to focus. So level up, we deal with the science of thought, feeling, and beliefs. One chapter is all about dealing with the pain in our life. It's been exciting to watch adults and teens alike benefit from dealing up, leveling up, and healing. Awareness is a powerful thing. Action applied to what you become aware of is empowerment, my friend. So if this is helpful, maybe you'd be interested in Level Up Empowering Possibilities. To find out, go to our organizational website, nobrainers.com, and browse around. We live in a culture that provides more and more ways to divert our attention and numb us from what is difficult, uncomfortable, and hard. So just remember, on the other side of it is learning and growth. My invitation this week is to look at your squirrels and see if they can be controlled with the law of replacement, or set a timer and go, scheduling when you will do it, or stopping up cold turkey. You know deep down what needs to happen. We're creators, my friends. Let's create a life of empowerment. Until next time, thanks for joining.